Hi everyone, it's Rob Watson, the module leader for TECH2503 Community Media Production, and I'm going to talk today about the fifth lecture in the lecture series. I've produced the PowerPoint presentations, which I won't share the PowerPoint itself, but I do, as usual, I will share the notes that the lecture is based on. And this is available via the DMU Commons Wiki in the TECH2503 page in the lecture notes section, and it's available as a downloadable PDF that you can convert into a Word document if you need to make any adaptations or changes to it. The subject of the lecture this week is I kind of adapted it this week based on the progress that we've made over the previous few weeks about thinking about community media as a development tool. And what I wanted to do this week was to try and situate community media within a context of Leicester and what it means to be producing and making content for and what Leicester encapsulates, if you like, in terms of the social diversity, in terms of some of the challenges that are faced in terms of economic development and community cohesion, and the sense of engagement that people have in the civic and political routines and expressions of identity, if you like, through the city. So what we'll do is we'll start off by looking at some things that describe Leicester in former ages. We'll look at a couple of YouTube videos that kind of give links to Leicester of the past and people thinking and talking about how Leicester has changed. Then we'll look at the kind of policies, the policy framework, which is enacted and operated by the City Council, and how it deals with issues, so kind of public safety, health and social care, transport and the streets, environment and waste, the kind of main strategic objectives of the local municipal authority in keeping Leicester running, if you like, as simple as kind of collecting the bins each week. And we'll put that in the context of looking at some of the social issues in Leicester and draw on some of the data that comes from the census of 2011, which we're midway through now, the decade before the next census in 2001. So it's thinking about the way that Leicester is comprised of different types of social groups, different social dynamics. Leicester's a predominantly young city compared to other places in the region. Leicester has a very prominent, pronounced number of people from different ethnic groups, whereas you might go out into the county and there's very low levels of diversity in terms of ethnicity. And we'll think about how this kind of mixes and shapes and forms the background against which social policy is enacted. So things like healthcare, what the priorities are in terms of the local health authorities and where we can find information about these priorities. Also about the kind of economic issues that Leicester faces in terms of, the kind of skills base, kind of how Leicester responds to the knowledge economy is going to be an important factor as more companies seek to locate. Because of its proximity to Leicester, it's being sold as to London. It's being sold as a city, but it doesn't have a high compared to maybe other cities. It doesn't have a high skilled base. There's a lot of kind of manual work, a lot of kind of unskilled work, if you like. So we'll think about how this is kind of being dealt with and tackled by different parts of the local authority and what they do, and then things like children and social services. Looking at crime, how Leicester is ranked in terms of the preponderance or the types of crime that occur in an intense urban area like this city. And then we'll ask the idea kind of how is Leicester thinking about, or has it thought about, the issue of community cohesion? How do you keep a city like Leicester together and kind of moving forward without being heavy-handed, but at the same time with offering real tangible support? And one of the challenges for us as advocates of community media is that actually community media in Leicester doesn't figure in any of the policy background documents and objectives. So there's a real question there in terms of how and in what way we can shape the debate about maybe trying to get community media included into some of these policy objectives. So what would be, kind of the way that we can use community media as a development tool? That's kind of the ongoing question that we should be asking in our further work. So this is broken up. This is supported by the reading for this week, which is from the Stephen Moore book, which is Pinsetti and Prose: The Co-Evolution of Infrastructure. It's a bit of background read, and it's not directly associated to what I'll talk about today, but it'll be useful and it'll come up in future lectures, and I'll make sure that it's kind of part of the lectures that occur in the next few weeks after the enhancement week. There's also a document that you can access via the wiki, which I've written, which is about community media's role as a kind of ethics and advocacy promoter of the idea of community development and what that means in practice. And if you're looking for something to watch, I found the new film documentary from the National Geographic with Leonardo DiCaprio about climate change, and it's called Before the Flood, and that's available on YouTube, freely available from National Geographic on YouTube. So I thought I'd post that because it kind of gives us an ecological view of sustainability and the kind of issues that we need to face up to about how we might change and adapt our approach to the economy and politics and global representation and globalization and those kind of issues. So that's kind of a quick summary of the main issues. Bring your notebooks, bring your pens. There's a lot of content to go through. I've tried to make it as diagrammatic and image-based as I can, but hopefully we'll meet up at a nice relaxed Thursday session this week.